Australia's future honey lies in groundbreaking bee genetics. Picture a world where bees aren't just vital, but supercharged, healthier, happier, and more productive than ever. Australian scientists are unlocking the genetic secrets of honeybees, aiming to secure the future of millions of colonies and the farmers who depend on them. But here's where it gets controversial. Can biotechnology truly save our bees without side effects? With the massive value bees deliver, over $12 billion in annual Australian agricultural production, pollinating crops from almonds to zucchini, protecting their health is crucial for food security and the nation's economy. Now, thanks to the nation's first coordinated honeybee genetics initiative, known as Plan B, a suite of game-changing genetic tools has been deployed. This could spark intense debate about how far we should go to intervene in nature. Plan B is backed by the Australian government's Rural RD for Profit program and managed through AgriFutures Australia, bringing together top research talent from the NSW Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development, DPIRD, the University of Sydney, and the University of New England's Animal Genetics and Breeding Unit, AGBU, alongside bee industry and seed producer experts. So, what has this landmark program achieved? Among its innovations are the creation of a national genetic database for honeybees, a practical breeding manual for modern beekeepers, the introduction of Australia's first bee estimated breeding values, EBVs, powerful genetic indicators for critical traits like colony strength, aggression, and disease resistance. And this is the part most people miss. These tools may dramatically increase the industry's capacity to breed bees that can withstand emerging threats such as drought, bushfires, and new diseases like the destructive Varroa mite. But can selective breeding impact wild bee genetics or ecosystem balance? Elizabeth Frost, a leading researcher on Plan B and technical specialist with NSW DPIRD, has explained that the bee industry is now borrowing genetic techniques from the world of large livestock breeding. Traditionally, EBVs have been used to select desirable genetic traits like fertility, calmness, or milk yield in cattle, sheep, and pigs. Applying these principles to honeybees, breeders can now target resilience, productivity, and improved behavior in queen bees. Could these advances also spark broader ethical debates about meddling with nature? During Plan B's 5-year journey, a reference population was established, consisting of 50 breeder queens and 200 colony groups genetically linked to commercial breeders from 6 different states. These carefully tracked bees were key to developing and testing the genetic selection process. In nationwide surveys, queen breeders and commercial honey producers made their priorities clear. They wanted to select for honey yield, gentle temperament, colony strength, pollination efficiency, and robust disease resistance. By precisely rating queens and colonies on these traits, researchers can identify standout hives. Over time, this helps future generations of bees inherit the very best characteristics, promising long-term gains for honey, horticulture, and cropping industries throughout Australia. Data management is another pillar of success. AGBU has compiled one of the world's largest databases of bee genetics, with more than 5,500 colonies listed. Each hive has a score for traits crucial to success, such as, for example, the number of frames covered by bees, a measure of colony strength, resistance to pests and diseases, and docility. Here's where bee reproduction stands out. Unlike typical livestock, a queen bee mates with many drones before selectively fertilizing eggs to produce either worker bees or future drone mates. Previously, bee breeding relied heavily on broad mass selection. Now, thanks to Plan B's advances, breeders can shift to more precise, controlled selection methods, improving queen quality, and by extension, the vigor of entire colonies. Elizabeth Frost emphasizes that moving to scientifically guided breeding techniques can benefit every level of the industry. Beekeepers will raise sturdier, more disease-resistant bees. Honeymakers will enjoy higher yields, and the countless Australian farmers that depend on reliable pollinators can breathe a sigh of relief. But here's the controversy. As bee breeding becomes increasingly technical, will small-scale or traditional apiarists be left behind? Should nature decide who thrives, or is this necessary progress for survival? Plan B was already rolling when Australia first encountered the catastrophic Varroa mite pest in 2020. Some ask, could this genetic revolution have arrived just in time, or does it pose unintended consequences for natural diversity? The program's solution: deliberate selection for pest resistance, paired with organized record-keeping on hive and queen health. Australia's diverse bee populations provide an outstanding foundation for these efforts, but debate lingers about long-term ecological impacts. In addition, bee breeders can now take advantage of hands-on training, detailed manuals, and EBV guides to help them set clear breeding goals and make evidence-based choices. And finally, a question for you. Do you agree that using genetic science is the best way to secure the future of our bees? Or do you worry about unintended consequences? Should Australia push forward with breeding super bees, or be cautious about shaping nature to suit our needs? Share your thoughts, concerns, or hot takes in the comments. Is this the best future for our pollinators, or the beginning of a new debate?